Hello and welcome back to Dicebreaker, where I am joined by not only Maddie and Alex Meehan, but also Jason Cordova for a Let's Play of Brindlewood Bay, the RPG about grannies solving crimes and tentacles coming out of the water. Jason, thank you very much for joining us and for running this game for us. Would you like to tell us more about yourself and the game that we're going to be playing today?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. So I am Jason Cordova. I am the founder of an online game community called The Gauntlet. We also do podcasts and publishing. I am a co-host of the Any-Winning podcast Fear of a Black Dragon about old school RPG modules. And as part of our publishing efforts, we have made Brindlewood Bay, which is a game coming to Kickstarter very soon, April 26th. So yeah, we're very excited about it. Shall I just go right into Brindlewood Bay then?
Absolutely, yeah. Tell us more about Brindlewood Bay.
Yeah, so I will say that if you are running Brindlewood Bay yourself, everything I'm about to say is actually scripted right in the game, so it's really easy to run and do. I like to kind of do a thing called CATS, if that's okay. It is an acronym that stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter, just to sort of establish some basic expectations for what we're going to be doing today. And so the concept of Brindlewood Bay it's a role-playing game about a group of elderly women, members of the local Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club, who frequently find themselves investigating and solving murder mysteries in their town of Brindlewood Bay. They become increasingly aware of that there's like a dark conspiracy that connects the cases, and eventually they're going to have to face this dark occult conspiracy in order to stop this group from summoning a monstrosity from the depths of the ocean, right? The game is very much inspired by the television show Murder, She Wrote, but also just lots of cozy murder things like Midsommer Murders and things like that, right? Rosemary and Thyme.
Rosemary and Thyme. You just referenced that.
I love Rosemary. I love it. It's like
I can't believe people outside of the UK watch Rosemary and Thyme. That has blown my mind.
Well, we get it over here every now and then on PBS, right? So but yeah, so it's inspired by stuff like that, and but also it takes a lot of inspiration from like cosmic and eldritch horror, like supernatural weird fiction. American TV shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s are very prominent in the game. Also, a very particular Canadian TV show from the late 2010s. And yeah, so it's Murder, She Wrote meets Cthulhu, basically. So that's what Brindlewood Bay is. Right. So today, our aim, keeping up with my little cats thing, we've already made characters, so we're going to introduce them. And after we introduce them, we're going to populate a section of the character sheet called A Cozy Little Place, which is essentially the Maven's like home in the town of Brindlewood Bay. Brindlewood Bay, by the way, is in Massachusetts in the United States. So that's kind of a little resort town. After we populate that part of the character sheet, we will then have a little beginning of session procedure where we do a special set of scenes called Cozy Vignettes, where we see your Mavens enjoying their life in Brindlewood Bay. And then I'll present the mystery that we're going to be doing today, and you'll start investigating it. And then if we have time, a little debrief would be great too. The tone of the game bounces between cozy and creepy. For a one-shot, it mostly is a little bit cozy and humorous. As you play the game over the course of multiple sessions, the creepy horror aspects start to become more pronounced. That's just the natural sort of arc of the campaign. Most of the time, though, it will be fairly lighthearted. It will occasionally get kind of dark and menacing. There is a very strong element of kitsch and camp humor as well that helps balance that out a little bit. So it kind of is all over the place tonally, but it works. So.
That would have been provided from our end, regardless.
Yeah. I saw which Maven moves you all picked, and I was like, okay, so we're going for a really particular tone here. Yeah, so I think the most important thing, though, tone-wise, is even if we're like kind of having like a laugh, because it is kind of a humorous situation, as long as the characters are taking what they're doing very seriously, I think we're in good shape. So, subject matter-wise, murder is a thing that happens in the game. It occasionally gets a little dark and challenging. I like to have safety tools on the table, and so those safety tools we'll be using are the X card and lines and veils. So X card in this context, if just something is happening in the story that you're not finding, it just kind of doesn't meet your idea of fun, just say X card, and we'll stop, and I might ask like what specifically is being X carded, but I won't ask why. And then we also have lines and veils. This is something that if you go to the safety tab on the character keeper, the online character keeper, you can go in and just mark like lines or things you don't want to have in the game at all. Veils are things you prefer to keep like off screen, like you don't want to role play it. Even if it's in the game, you don't necessarily want to role play it. So, but yeah, those are that's my little introductory procedure for Brindlewood Bay. Do you all have any questions about that?
No, I'm just excited to get playing.
Nice. Google
So
sheet is just amazing.
Yeah,
So good.
So the Gauntlet, the group that I'm a part of, this online game group, we have made these sheets for over 500 indie RPGs, and anybody can access them. So if you are into playing indie role-playing games online, we have this amazing resource for you that's like 100% free. So yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so let's meet these mavens. I want to go around the table and have everyone just say the basics of your character, their name, what their style is, meaning like their general appearance, their cozy activity, which is what they love to do apart from reading mystery books, and what Maven move you've chosen. And then after everyone's introduced their character, we're going to go back around again, and I'm going to ask you, or I just want to hear about like 3 key pieces of information about the characters. Their deceased partner. So all of these characters are sort of in their second life in Brindlewood Bay. Like they had a life before Brindlewood Bay. And so they have a partner who's deceased. I'd like to know a little bit about that person. If they had any kids, I'd like to know about those kids. And then if they had a career before they moved to Brindlewood Bay, what was that career? Everybody else, while that information is being shared, you should be listening carefully, because you will then say, based off everything we know about that Maven, what might be in their home, based off of what we know about them. And then that populates the part of the sheet called a cozy little place, which is essentially like your equipment list for the game, right? So it's stuff that you could conceivably have access to, right? So, but I'm going to go in the order of the sheet and start with Maddie and Evelyn. So Maddie, tell us about Evelyn.
Yes, we have Evelyn. So style-wise, I went Jackie O because I didn't really know what to go for, and I wanted her to look kind of like fancy-ish, like a little bit like she cares. Should I describe her first, or?
Yeah, anything you want to tell us, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I imagine her having kind of like short, spiky white hair and like big, round, like horn-rimmed glasses, like the old lady version of my glasses, basically. And she wears like a big, long brown fur coat that basically just like is her entire body. And like sometimes you see a little peek of like a nylon trouser through the gap in the coat. She's got kind of like leather boots, but like kind of like the old-fashioned kind of like kid boots, but they're really like soft, tight-fitting leather. Yeah, so that's what she looks like. Her cozy activity is collecting buttons. You never know when you need a button, so it's pretty helpful. You just never know. It's amazing. Can't beat buttons. And then my Maven move is Cult Sievers. Am I saying this right?
Cult Sievers, that's right.
Cult Sievers, cool. Yeah. Which is once per session, I can add a D12 on any roll related to a wild or daring physical feat.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Yeah.
Which
or you actually you get an automatic 12 plus, which is the highest result on a die roll.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so
very excited.
Oh yeah, by the way, you will all need at least 2 D6s handy to play. So
okay.
Absolutely have that.
Fantastic, thank you. We'll come back around again to talk about some more backstory stuff, but for now, let's talk to Wheels and Muriel.
Yeah, Muriel is, or Hot Rod, as some people call it. Muriel is a big fan of speedwalking, to the point where she speedwalks so much sometimes. She's obsessed with like physical fitness and all that kind of thing. Like she has quite arthritic knees, so she kind of like puts all of her bodily ability into her speedwalking competitions, and then for the rest of her life is just moving around in this mobility scooter, which she calls the Hot Rod. Her cozy activity is charity events. She's kind of like a self-appointed bouncer. She's always like, imagine like a kind of Paul Blart Mall energy, like she's rolling around trying to like find trouble where there is none. and constantly trying to sort of like, oh, is everything okay over here? Do you need me to take care of this? And everyone's like, yeah, Muriel, it's fine. I'm just selling some jam. She's got like a pretty standard spread of abilities, but her special move is Michael Knight, which I'm assuming is Knight Rider. You have a trusty mode of transportation, which in this case is her mobility scooter. It has gotten you out of more than one sticky situation. Give it a name and add it to your cozy little place. And when you use it to get an advantage on a die roll, you leave it unmarked, so I don't have to tick it off, which is very handy. Hot Rod is like it's one of those like those kind of like sparkly red metallic colors.
Oh, yes.
And like she put like a little white flame pattern on the bottom, and then on the back of the seat there's like an embroidered nunchuck, which I'll explain why in a second, because it is a reference to her deceased partner. Which we going through those now, or we should go through those in
No, we'll come back to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That is Muriel.
Fabulous, thank you. Okay, and finally let's hear about Birdie.
Yeah, my character's called Birdie. Her general style is what Jason was called Blouse Barn, which as soon as I saw it, I was like, well, that's definitely what I'm choosing. Presumably a reference to Schitt's Creek.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, so she wears these very loose, comfortable but stylish blouses with the kind of straight leg trouser combo, and she has like she has the classic oh my god perm. She has like the perm is rocking, like she basically looks like she's never left like the late 80s essentially.
Why would she?
Why would you?
Exactly,
What's been
What
better
else
than
is
them?
And she has one of those necklaces that's like just bits. They're just like beads or like weirdly shaped like pieces of
Fun,
I can lend you some
colourful
buttons
objects.
for that.
yeah. And her cozy activity is birding, which am I right in saying that's bird watching?
Yes, I believe so. Is that one of the
I've
options?
never heard it before.
I promise I wrote this.
Yeah, bird watching. So she often like has loads of things like around her neck besides just the jewelry. She also has the pair of glasses obviously on the chain, and also a pair of binoculars as well. Oh, and she wears a fanny pack.
I hope birding is a different like way of saying bird watching, because I also hope that it's not like an offshoot of dogging.
We also.
We're going to go with bird watching.
Yeah, she's a sophisticated woman.
Fabulous. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Okay.
And her
your
maiden
move, yeah.
sorry, is B.A. Baracus.
Oh, Mr. T.
Yeah, it's Mr. T, yeah.
Once per session, if you or any number of your fellow maidens would suffer physical harm, you can describe how that physical harm is narrowly avoided. So she's like an angel, like a guardian angel.
Spy it through the binoculars.
It is so a lot of my humor is built into a lot of these moves, and this is a reference to the TV show, the A-Team, an American action TV show, and famously, because it was on network television at family time, no one died, and so grenades would like blow up cars, and every person would always like crawl to safety. Like, or if there's like a massive explosion, like no one is harmed at all, right? So
Yeah, she's seen that happen.
Exactly. Fabulous. Okay, we're going to go back around now. And now, Evelyn, and hereafter I'll refer to you by your character name. I want to know about your deceased partner, if you had any kids, and what your career was before Brindlewood Bay. And here, if everybody else will just pay attention, because once we're done hearing those things, we're then going to say each one thing that we think might be found in Evelyn's home based off what we know about her so far. So give us those backstory bits, please.
Yeah, so her husband was Ernest. He was a small town doctor, LGP. They met when she was a teenager. He was from the city and he came down on a bus. And all the country girls were very excited, especially Evelyn. And she got in there and met one of the city boys. And they've been together ever since. So that was his job, and she kind of did homemaking, but also she's kind of into amateur painting. So she got some paintings out there. It's always kind of been a half on a hobby, half a wistful kind of career hope that never really fully realized. She has a daughter, Diane, and Diane has 2 kids, James and Jacob.
Fabulous. So now everything we know about Evelyn up to this point, we each get to say one thing we think might be found in Evelyn's home, and then that will be added to the cozy little place. They're essentially like your equipment, but in play, the way it works is if you could plausibly work the item into your action that you're taking, you get a bonus on your die roll when you do that. And you have to mark it so you still have it, but it's not something you can use over and over for the die roll. It's still in your possession, but it's just once for the die roll, unless it is the scooter that belongs to Muriel, because that is unmarked whenever it gets used.
Can't get rid of hot rod.
Yes, the scooter is eternal.
Indeed. So I think, based off everything we know about you, I'm actually going to go with this sort of style angle and say that you have a really fabulous wardrobe.
Nice. I love that.
I think, as a sentimental item, you've kept Ernest's old doctor's bag that he probably didn't use very much anymore because, home visits aren't a thing anymore, but it's what he used to take to people when they were sick.
I think you've got a sewing kit. So whenever Ernest lost one of his buttons on his jacket, you would sew it back. So
or needed some help with a patient.
Yeah.
You've got both kinds of needles available.
Fantastic. I love it. Okay, so now let's go over to Muriel. Muriel, tell us those backstory bits.
My deceased partner was very much, for most of his life, unemployed, but he was obsessed with martial arts movies and memorabilia and stuff like that. He would collect nunchucks and katanas and things like that. And one of the rooms was converted into a sort of dojo style karate room. He never actually saw any kind of instruction by anyone. He just sort of had his own style that he would bring out. I don't have any children, but I do have a belligerent old cat called Mr. Whiskers that I'm constantly getting into arguments with. It's one of those animals that is just I need someone to scream at, So I'm always getting into arguments. Before retiring to Brindlewood Bay, I was a volunteer sheriff, as well as doing a few sort of more menial jobs. But that was my passion.
Were you a sheriff in Brindlewood County? Would you know the local law enforcement in that way?
No, I think Muriel's from down south.
Okay.
So she.
Oh no.
Well, originally I didn't know we were in the US, so but I've now decided that no, she maybe grew up obsessed with cowboy stories and stuff like that, and always sort of idealized that kind of position.
Fantastic. I have my idea for what's in your cozy little place. I think you have a massive collection of rare and bootleg VHS Hong Kong action movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. like stuff that nobody else has, and that your husband or your partner.
They're all bootleg, and I think my late husband was only able to get us to use the internet because he had to get on these weird, rare forums to try and track down these tapes.
Gotta get to eBay.
Love it. Everyone else gets to contribute.
I reckon you have a toolbox that probably was your late husband, but then you also used it whenever the scooter needed some upgrades or repairs. Yeah. Attaching the nitro
Hit the nose button.
Exhausted, yeah.
I'm gonna go the. You thought you have like little outfits for your cat, and at one point maybe you thought you put your cat in like shows, and you got all the wardrobe, and then you realised your cat was really not into it, and then that's like part of where your argument about
That's why I have so much resentment towards this cat. Could have been a star.
I don't mind it. Oh.
That's fabulous.
I'll write
Thank
extensive cat wardrobe. Never worn.
Yeah.
That's like that poem, Will.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, Birdie, tell us about your backstory.
Yeah, so I imagine Birdie being one of the younger members of the group. I think she was kind of kicking about like during, again with the reference to the 80s. I think she was kind of kicking about during those are the days of her wild youth. And she met her partner when they were working at the blouse barn. So the blouse barn is canonical in this universe.
I love it. Yep, it's good.
Because she was on a holiday in Brindlewood Bay, and she saw the blouse barn. She was like, "Oh, I want to pick up some fashionable blouses." And she met her partner who was working in there. Part's name is Maggie. And then they had a whirlwind summer romance. And they had an adopted son called David. He doesn't live in Brindlewood Bay. He lives like in a city in the US nearby.
Somewhere in the United States, filmed in Canada. Yeah.
And she also has an aviary with like birdies living in there in her garden.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
And many pigeon friends. This is very important. Many pigeon friends who recognize her and know her and come back to be fed.
I love
and
it.
She used to be a research assistant for like a pretty big company. She was able to get transferred when she moved to Brindlewood Bay. Yeah.
I think you have... I was going to go something a little lighter, but I think I'm going to go something very practical and say you have like a little black book with like lots of, from your like days as a research assistant, like people with access and knowledge of things.
Rolodeck.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rolodex. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Rolodex is even better. Yeah, I like that.
I'm going to say that you've got like an entire room devoted to like 40 different types of seed that can be fed to birds of all varieties.
Lots of seed.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's going to come in handy, don't you worry.
Okay, we have birds research. You just have like a blouse for every possible occasion. Like, if Maggie works in the blouse barn, you have it. Like Easter blouse, Christmas
all very
blouse,
durable
spring
blouses.
blouse,
Yeah.
like just every possible blouse need, you've got it.
Yeah, when family come around, they think you've been like taken into an MLM.
Oh yeah, because she never needed to buy any clothes.
No, why would you? Yeah.
She got
She got
Perks on the job.
365 different blouses. Like,
Yeah,
you are
from-
ready.
Exactly. There are like a new blouse every day, and like whenever you see her, you're like, is that a new one? Like, have I seen that one?
Like, have I ever seen her wear two in the same like row?
An MLM would be a great theme for a mystery. I've got my wheels spinning now. Okay, I'm going to give you a bonus one as well. Your bonus one is you have an incredibly dumb himbo albino peacock.
Yeah. Himbo, albino, peacock.
Good luck
Name.
working that into a scene.
I'm gonna call him Jeremy.
Jeremy, I love it.
Yeah, there you go. He
All
just
right.
he just lives in the garden.
Okay, so we've got our characters ready to go. At this point, let's see. I'm going through my little script here. We're supposed to take a break now, so maybe we will in a moment. I will note that on your character keeper, you have a section called End of Session. The first one is always, did the murder mavens solve a mystery? These questions that you answer at the end. You can choose two others you kind of choose from a list. But those are the things you want to try to aim for in the role play, because you get an experience point at the end of the session. That's if you do that thing, if you can answer yes to it. So that's how advancement works in the game, is answering yes to these 3 questions at the end of the session. I also want to talk about the rules just a little bit before we take our little break here. So the thing about this game is there is a murder mystery, but there is not a canonical solution to the mystery. I, as the keeper, do not know who did it. And we're going to discover who did it together. And so your characters can investigate that mystery however they wish. There's not like a right or wrong way to do it. And you can find clues wherever you're looking. And once we have enough clues, or when we get kind of close to our time, we'll stop and we'll take the clues we have and we'll have a discussion about who we think did the murder based off what we've found. And then we'll roll some dice to see how you did. And then we'll kind of narrate, if possible, the killer being brought to justice if you got it right. And yeah, that's sort of like the core of the system. It's an investigation game that is very like open and collaborative. So just embrace that part of it. So Brindlewood Bay is presented as if it's a sort of TV show, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you have seen TV shows like this, you know that during the opening credits, they show the characters kind of enjoying their day and waving at someone off screen, right? That kind of thing. And so we're going to do what's called cozy vignettes. And each of you in turn are going to just give us a really brief little description of your maven enjoying her life in Brindlewood Bay. This could be light and breezy, could be warm and cozy, but it should be very sort of like showing the character enjoying their life. I will note here, since we are kind of teaching the game to people, as the campaign progresses and you get deeper and deeper into the occult part of it, this little opening montage, creepy stuff is happening in the background of the scene. So, but for now we get just the cozy bit. So let's go in reverse order this time. And Birdie, let's just whoever's ready. Just think about it for a moment, and whoever wants to do their little vignette, go for it.
I've got one bit if anyone else wants to go.
Wheels, go ahead.
Okay, I think Muriel is on Old Hot Rod is like patrolling the little old town high street of Brindlewood Bay, where like all the nice cafes and stuff are, and she's like on the watch for someone making trouble. And I think she's like inventing crimes around the town, and loads of cafe owners are just going, no, Muriel, it's fine, it's okay, they just dropped it, they weren't littering, it was just on the floor for about 2 seconds.
Fabulous, thank you.
I think Birdie is just walking outside to her garden, and she's got a nice morning espresso. And she's wearing a pair of sunglasses because it's a nice sunny day. And she's got her little floral dressing gown on. And she's sort of looking at her birds in the aviary and just like waving at them, being like, oh, hi. Hello, little birdies. Like, hello, my babies. You know, like sort of making kissing noises at them and like waving. And then she just hears like something crash, and she looks round. You just hear her like yell, "Jeremy!"
Jeremy. That's good. I love it. Thank you.
Evelyn just going for a little walk by the waterfront. Gets herself like a little coffee, doing a little walk. Sits down on a bench, admiring. Maybe, I don't know, like swans? Do we have swans here? Yeah. I don't know what bird life we have. Some swans. And she gets a little like sketchbook out and she's sketching. And she like has some bread to like bring them over, and like a little kid maybe like comes up and is like wants to chuck some bread to her, and she like glares at them and like shoves it in her handbag and gets up and like walks away.
Fantastic.
Wow.
So our mystery today is called Dad Overboard. And it starts at the top floor of the Candlelight Booksellers during your weekly meeting of the Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club. So you meet every week on Saturday night, and you have a little loft space that has been set aside for your meetings. And here we're going to do a thing I call Paint the Scene, where we all get to answer a question about the scene. And so, as our TV show's camera pans around the loft area where you hold these meetings, what do we see that shows how you have personalized the space?
I think Muriel has her feet sort of dunked in like a little foot bath, and she's sort of like soothing her bunions from all of her speed walking.
Is it one that's like a little jacuzzi style?
Yeah, like the
It's
little
like bubbling away.
the little bobbled bottom and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And she keeps going like, ooh, ah, ooh.
Fabulous.
Evelyn's probably like changed the curtains or something. Like she took down the curtains and she was like, we can't have this. Has changed them, and it's like now like looking at like, I don't know, some like old like armchair or something, upholstery, and it's like kind of just like mulling it over, got a little tape measure looking it over.
Fantastic.
I think Bernie has like brought over loads of ornaments from her house. You know, like I know people who have so much stuff that they're just like, well, I want more stuff, so I'm just going to find somewhere else to put this.
It just spills out, yeah.
Yeah, so I think she's been bringing, every time they've come up here, she's brought something else. And every time she brings it out of her bag, she kind of surreptitiously like reaches into this big cavernous handbag and like pulls out a little ornament and like places it. So like there's a shelf, it's just covered in like little duckies or like a small vase or something like that.
Like an infection, they spread.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, so you've had your meeting. You all are probably very focused on the latest novel by the mysterious author Robin Masterson and her heroine of the Gold Crown Mysteries series, Amanda Delacourt. So whenever there's a new Amanda Delacourt book, it's always a big deal at the Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club. And in fact, there is a move in the game, which I will probably remind you all about at some point at a key moment, where if you can describe how what's happening is just like something that happened in an Amanda Delacourt book, you get a bonus on the on the roll. So, but you've just had your meeting, and as the meeting is coming to an end, you hear coming up the stairs the local law enforcement head honcho, Sheriff Wyman Dalrymple. And Sheriff Wyman Dalrymple tells you that earlier today, a body washed up in the bay. The body was of a wealthy financier from Boston named Albert Krause. Mr. Krause and his family are vacationing in Brindlewood Bay, and their yacht is currently anchored about a quarter mile from the bay. Now, Brindlewood Bay, despite having the highest murder rate per capita in the United States, does not have a morgue, and so Mr. Krause's body is currently being held in a fish market, where a friend of the family has agreed, who works at the fish market, Etienne Beauregard, has agreed to put the body in the cold storage with the cod and the haddock, right? Now, the Krause family, who again, they're parked on their yacht, they claim that Albert must have gotten drunk and fell off the boat, right? And then his body washed up. But Sheriff Dalrymple thinks that there is foul play. Unfortunately, if he can't prove that there's foul play, then he will have to give them the body back so they can take it back to Boston. And so by the time we meet these characters, you have already helped the local authorities solve other murder mysteries in town, right? And so he's coming to you. He doesn't love it, but he's coming to you to ask for just to look into it. And he says, he's a very kind of big, jowly, constantly exasperated man. He says, I don't need you to go and solve the case. That's what me and my deputies are for. I just need you to find some evidence of foul play so I can justify keeping the body here in Brindlewood Bay. I repeat, I do not need you to solve the case. But of course, Oh, please.
Officer, I've already got your evidence for you. It's a rich man. It's the wife that did it. I don't know what to tell you. She did it.
Now, listen here, Evelyn. Just because you read that in one of your mystery books one time doesn't mean that's how real life goes.
It's been in more than one mystery book, Sheriff.
Their last three. It's always the wife, and she has reason to. You're not saying she's doing it because she's selfish. She has reason to. But I'm telling you right now, I can go and find the foul play, but it's going to be the wife.
He's like, all right, well, as long as it does not hinder or bias your investigation, so to speak. And I repeat, I just need this low key. I don't want you to draw any attention to this. We're currently in the middle of our busiest season, tourist season here in Brindlewood Bay. And, well, I don't want anyone to know that yet another body has turned up.
Look, Sheriff, there's been so many dead bodies at this point. I don't really think it's going to affect the tourism right now. Still, everyone's kind of aware of the situation around here.
He's
I'm
like,
starting
well,
to
you're
think
actually...
people come here for that specific reason, darling.
He says, you are right. We have had quite an uptick in true crime podcasters coming to town.
Our dark tourism, I watched it on the news the other day. They're saying it's like there's what all the young people are doing these days for the holidays.
So you have your investigation here. Of course, you should absolutely solve the mystery. You do not have to mind that part. A little question, though, just to kind of tie you all closer to the mystery, or at least tie one of you closer to the mystery. A question for Bertie. Bertie, he will tell you, essentially Sheriff Dalrymple will give you all the suspects, right? So there is Alison Krauss, who is the victim's or the deceased's wife, and apparently has did it. We have Sarah Krauss, the oldest daughter, Emily Krauss, the younger of the two daughters, David Krauss, his son, and then they have a butler. They also have this friend in town, a local, Etienne Beauregard, at the fish market, who is storing the body for them. So that's sort of your cast. But the question for you, Bertie, though, is you actually you met one of the Krauss children several years ago, either Sarah, Emily, or David. What were the circumstances around that?
I think she met Emily. How old is Emily?
Emily is probably in her early 20s.
She met Emily because her adopted son, David, had a bit of a thing with her.
Oh.
Back when he went to Boston University. I'm sure that exists. And one summer holiday, he kind of came home and was excitingly telling Bertie about this girl, Emily. She was like, "Oh, how exciting!" Just as any parent gets when their child tells them about a partner. And then suddenly, she got a text from David saying, "Oh, actually, it's all gone off. We had a fight, at one of their family's parties that they've held because sorry,
the scandal is too much.
It's too much.
Share it, Bertie, it's fine. Share it. The drama.
Because David just sent like a text saying he was a bit confused about what kind of went wrong, and Emily just started acting like, I don't want you around anymore, leave. And it was just very confusing, a bit heartbreaking. But she remembers when she hears the name Albert Krauss, she's like, hang on.
This is great. That means you have a connection to some degree to the Krauss family, and it might be a good justification for getting to see them. Now, Sheriff Dalrymple will tell you that he is happy to let you commandeer a deputy's craft to go out to the yacht if you want to go speak to any member of the family. You also have the fish market where the bodies being stored. Those are two pretty good places to start. Or you can just conduct research however you wish. If you want to make some phone calls, use the Google. It's up to you, however you want to approach it. So
use the Google.
I'm not sure about that last one.
So I think at this point, I'm just going to go around the table and see what everyone's interested in doing, and then we'll kind of figure out what the scenes look like. So, Muriel, what do you think?
I think the body is always a good place to start, right? Like, it's especially if he supposedly drowned, then that's all we should find, right? You know, there might be something a little extra that's going to give us some clue whether or not the foul play really is there. So I think maybe that's my go-to.
Okay, that sounds good. And what do you think, Evelyn?
Yeah, I think that would be my first thing, having kind of like, I believe I have a lot of medical knowledge just from like hearing stories. Probably not true, but I'm like, I would like to see the body because I like to think I'm an authority there.
Fantastic. And Birdie, would you like to do something different or go with them?
I think the first thing Birdie's going to do is she's going to WhatsApp.
Okay.
I know, right? Yeah, Birdie does WhatsApp.
So like
she's
one of those like...
yeah.
With the phone has like gigantic text, right?
Yeah, it's massive.
It's got one of those like Game Boy Advance SP like magnification things over it. So
you can only read like half a sentence per screen.
Like, give me 20 minutes, I got to send a 2-sentence text.
Yeah, she's going to send her a WhatsApp message to her son, David, basically asking if he heard from Emily at any point afterwards, and maybe to retell kind of what happened. But I don't think she's very sensitive, especially to her son's feelings.
Of course, yeah.
So I don't think she's going to mention any particular reason why, but I think David's used to her just sort of rambling on about certain things.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. That's great. So why don't we start with that, since that's the fastest thing to do. So we're going to do, if you want to follow along on the character keeper, there's this tab called Moves. Click over there. And we're going to do the meddling move, which is about on the left-hand side, about halfway down.
Sounds about right,
yeah. Meddling is very much what we did.
When you search for a clue, conduct research, or otherwise gather information, you've already described how you're doing it, so go ahead and roll with an appropriate ability. And I think the ability, because you're using your relationship to your son David, I think the ability is probably presence, because that's the sort of social ability. So you roll 2d6 and add your presence modifier to it.
Which is 0.
Okay. Let's see how it goes.
6.
6. Now, a miss, what that means is I get to do what's called a keeper reaction, and it complicates matters significantly. I will narrate what happens, and you can actually choose this. What this game does, which is kind of interesting, is you can choose to almost like choose your own adventure style, say, nope, that is not going to happen, and you can mark a part of the character sheet called putting on a crown to basically get a different outcome. But you might like the outcome, so let's see. What's your initial text, though? Like, just what do you ask?
Yeah, so I'm imagining she texts a little bit like how my dad texts, which is like not like a human being speaks. Like a robot's talking.
Like hello, full stop.
Yeah, she says hello, full stop. Do you remember that girl you saw? Emily, Kraus,
yeah.
Have you heard, from her?
Here's the reply you get. It's actually kind of funny you should mention it, because Emily and I have gotten back together.
Whoa!
I'm actually summering with her family right now.
On the yacht?
On the yacht.
Oh my god.
I think at this revelation, Birdie drops her phone.
Yeah.
Did you get an electric shock, Birdie? I told you they're no good phones with the touchscreens, and no good. You're tapping away. You're going too close to the.
No. My David. back with that Emily Krause, the one
No. He's not.
Yes, with the dead dad. You know.
This absolutely puts David, your son, because there are two Davids. There's a Krause David as well.
Yeah.
It puts David, your son, kind of has to put him on the suspect list, right? Because he was there. So
I can't believe he didn't tell me he was doing this.
There's no way he's involved, darling. Don't even fret about it. We'll find it out. We'll figure it out.
Miriam, you know that the out-of-towner is always a big suspect. Don't get Birdie. I know I don't want to say it. We've got to look at the facts. This is a case now. This isn't just real life.
My son, Evelyn.
I'm not, we got to rule out every suspect. I'm not saying he did it. He's high up there. And the police will know that. So it's a warning. I'm just telling you.
I love how much Evelyn's just ready to put everybody in jail.
I came to solve.
Exactly.
Tactful as ever, Evelyn.
Let's fast forward then to the fish market, and we can just say you're there as well, Birdie, if you wish.
She tags along.
Yeah.
Loves the
Morning.
fish market.
A nice card will do. Oh, see
Get
you
on.
good.
Oh wait, we're all getting on this scooter.
Yeah.
This
why
thing
not?
is
100%.
it's not gonna handle three
I-
women on it.
The irony of Muriel is that while she is like obsessed with justice and the law and all of that, if a policeman ever took a look at what she had done to this engine, she would be taken off the roads within an instant. This thing is way too powerful.
Like overtaking cars.
Yeah.
Miriam, do you think we should put the lights on? I know that the cop said that we weren't meant to use them, but it does feel like an emergency.
No, it's all right. I just installed some sick-ass LED strips underneath this bad boy.
I think Birdie just hanging on to like a summer hat she's wearing. Clinging on with her dear life.
All right, the fish market. So the fish market, it is tourist season in Brindlewood Bay right now, and the fish market is it's one of those kinds of, it's like I don't know if you know what Pike Place is, but it's like a Pike Place fish market where it's like about tourists, right? They do sell fish, but it's also like about the performance of fishmongers tossing
People
fish to each
throwing
other.
fishes around.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So the question for everybody, if you paint the scene, is what do you see here that reminds you why you love the fish market, or what about the fish market makes you hate coming down here? It is either or, your choice. You each get to answer.
I think immediately the smell is...
Do you love it or hate it?
It's a fair question, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Muriel's not a big seafood person. So already just like the prospect of going down to the fish market was just like, oh, for God's
You are
sake.
in the wrong town,
Yeah.
Muriel.
I know. But yeah, she's sick of seeing all the creepy little eyes, all that.
I think Birdie what she loves about the fish market is that her and Maggie used to stroll down here during the tourist season and look for, that's where she gets her jewellery from, the little
Yes.
the higgledy-piggledy weird
Yeah.
bits.
I think Evelyn likes the fish market too. It reminds her of getting like fish and chips with her husband, so she embraces the smell.
Fabulous. Now, I will tell you that Sheriff Dalrymple has told you that the body is being kept in essentially like the large refrigerator area of the fish market currently, and he has he told you it's there, but he's not giving you an escort there though, so it's whether you're allowed to go back there or not, it's a little unclear. But you could certainly try to sneak in to go see the body if that's what you want to do, or Etienne Beauregard, the friend of the family who agreed to store the body for the Krauses, he is actually near the front of the fish market entertaining families who are there at the fish market. And so you could maybe talk to him or both. So you could split up. Some could maybe try to sneak in, or maybe you could try to just ask, or however you want to approach it. But in any case, Muriel, what do you do?
I think Muriel pulls up next to Etienne.
Oh, nice, good.
and just makes a big show of like turning off the engine and like taking off her helmet, and sort of she's like, every single time she gets off of this thing, she feels very, very powerful.
I love it.
Which I think immediately grabs Etienne's attention.
Yeah, Etienne is like, he's one of those. He does this like very, very bad French accent. He pretends to be this like Lothario man of the sea, right? And he's got this big giant fish, and he's like, passing it between various tourists. He's singing his little song, "Les poissons, les poissons."
Yes.
Right. He at one point he takes one of the fish up to this sort of dowdy looking husband of a family, and he's like, you want to give the fish a kiss, you want to give it a kiss, and he's just embarrassing this man. All this is going on. I love your entrance mural. I think it's fantastic, and you sound like you're trying to catch his attention, which I think is really great. I'm not going to make you roll. I think he will say, that's it for today, folks. Enjoy your time at the fish market. And then he goes over to you and he says, and I think he knows you. He's local, right?
Yeah.
And he says,
everyone knows everyone around here.
Yeah. He's like, well, that was quite an entrance, Muriel. Drops the French accent completely.
I think he's still holding the fish.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's like slightly too close to Muriel's face, and she like backhands it away. And she's like, "ATN, is it?"
His real name is Steven. He's like, well, so what's? Now, let me guess. You're here about the Krauses, knowing you ladies and knowing what I know.
Well, listen, if that's what you know, then you should know that we are in a position of great interest with the sheriff. He wants us to personally investigate the corpse, so it's within your best interest to just let us on in there, darling.
I like it. I think to get access to it, I'm going to make you do what's called the night move. So the night move is because it is nighttime, so this is the move that we do whenever we're doing something risky or just trying to accomplish something that maybe where the stakes are unclear or the outcome is unclear. So whenever you do this, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail.
I think if we come across not convincing enough, then he'll just be like, sorry, I'm not letting 3 random old women into a crime investigation.
I think, and now I have to say, because it's the night move, I get to say how it's worse than what you think.
Oh.
And it's worse because if you fail, what's going to happen is someone connected to the murder is going to kill Etienne right before your eyes.
Whoa.
From the shadows.
Guacamole.
Don't mess this up, Muriel.
If you're okay with this, you get to pick up dice. And now, because you sort of used your hot rods to sort of get his attention, I'm going to let you use that if you wish. And so on the die roll, I think it's going to be a presence roll, but I'm going to let you roll it with advantage because of your mobility scooter. And so you'll roll 3 dice instead of 2.
Nice.
And you'll take the 2 highest.
I knew I should have got a 3rd die.
Standard.
All right, here we go. So I think I've just got +0 on presence. So here we go. I have rolled a 7.
Okay.
Scraping in.
And that was with 3 dice and taking the 2 highest?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, that's good. I think on a 7 to 9, I will tell you how you're... Oh, no, sorry. You do it or hold steady, but there's a complication or cost. I'll describe what it looks like. Okay, we'll come back to that. I want to check in with Evelyn, though. Evelyn, what are you doing in the meantime?
I am reaching, in, I don't know, the, trunk of, of a bag, a saddle bag or something on this thing.
It's got, one of them baskets.
Yes, I'm reaching in there, and I'm pulling out, we have bought, a, police siren, light, and I'm just, grabbing it out, making direct eye contact and, slapping it on the bag. And I, turn the lights on, so, blue flashing, but I won't do the siren yet.
I love it. That's good. That's good. I like it. Is there anything particular you're trying to accomplish there, or is it just a bit of getting everybody's attention?
I'm just trying to like give us more authority.
Oh, I like
I'm just
it.
being like,
Yeah. That's good. I think actually someone from the shadows off to the side near the entrance of the fish market says, you can't tell if it's a man or a woman. They're kind of got something over their face to disguise their voice a little bit. They say, are you here looking into the Albert Kraus matter?
does just I hear that?
You do hear that, just you.
Oh, I like whip around. Just a little whip around. Can I see the figure?
Yeah, I'm going to make you do the night move as well, because the night move says when you do something risky or face something you fear, and I think this is kind of a creepy situation.
I don't like strangers.
Name what you're afraid will happen if you lose your nerve.
Ooh. I'm afraid that this person will run away and they'll be like a step ahead of us and they'll know that what we know. Or like they'll watch us and not get into the fish market and know something.
I will say it's worse than that. They will be running away, but only after shooting you with a silenced pistol.
Whoa! Oh my god!
If you're okay with
Escalation
this,
here.
press forward and roll with, I think it's going to be composure. So roll 2 dice, add your composure.
I told you I should have bought them Kevlar vests.
I thought it would mess up my look with my coat. I regret it. Okay, it's got a 1, so am I just like adding 1
Add
to the
one.
roll?
Yeah, just 2d6, add them together and then add 1.
7.
7. You do it or hold steady, but there's a complication. I'll describe it looks like. I think the complication is just this. They do pull the gun on you. You can see the glint of the metal flash, with the red light is flashing on the glint of the metal, right? And they just say, I recommend you turn away. This isn't your business.
Don't you threaten an old lady like that! Birdie, there's somebody over here! I'll be like grabbing it, Birdie.
Yeah, Birdie, you can be in the scene. What do you do?
I turn to look where Evelyn's gesturing.
The person runs off. Per the
Right.
rules of the game, you can never see these shadowy figures, right? They run off, but they drop something as they flee the scene. This situation is getting more dangerous. We'll come back to that in a moment. I want to pick up with Muriel. Muriel, you got the mid result, right? A 7?
That's right, yeah.
So it's going to work. Etienne says, sure, I can take you back there. That's no problem. You said Sheriff Dalrymple wants you back there?
He asked us personally.
Okay. Fine. But I'm going to be with you the whole time, if you don't mind. Albert was a friend, and I want to make sure that, well, I don't know, the situation is just very strange, if you don't mind. And he'll take you back there, but the complication is he's going to be watching you the whole time.
There ain't no problem with that. In fact, I might even have some questions for you if that's okay.
He's like, well, maybe you can ask him on the way back. And he takes you back there. You got a moment while he's taking you back there. What do you say or do?
I think Muriel just checks like if he's aware of like any sort of drama in the family right now. If he's like a family friend, like is there anything that's been going on that he's picked up on?
Yeah, roll the meddling move with presence to see if you learn anything.
Okay, really should have invested in presence.
Presence comes up a lot, yeah, especially in the early part of the game.
The meddling move, is it?
Yes.
That is a 7 again.
Okay, good. You'll get your clue, but there's a complication either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. I will say that the complication is when you arrive at the refrigerated area, Sheriff Dalrymple actually has a deputy there, and the deputy thinks he's not supposed to let anybody in. Now, if you want to avoid this, you can put on a crown. you have a special section on your character sheet called the Crown of the Queen and the Crown of the Void. You can choose either if you wish, you don't have to, but you would mark one of these, and in exchange for doing what it says, your die result bumps up to the next highest level. So you would get a 10, meaning you get your clue from Etienne and you got free reign in the refrigerated space without having to deal with a deputy.
I love free reign in a refrigerated space.
Exactly.
We gain free reign in a refrigerated space. Right. Okay, let me have a look at this little checklist.
Take a look.
I think I'm going to have a flashback of one of my fondest memories of my late partner.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, if you're ready, you can do it later or now. It's up to you.
No, yeah, I think... so I think maybe the deputy does try to actually stop us going in for a second. But I think maybe the deputy in question was an old friend of my ex-partner's. Of my deceased partner, sorry. And I think I bring up like that ain't the honor code that they would have preached in Crouch and Tiger, Hidden Dragon or whatever. And then I think like we laugh over like all of the weird films that we had both been sort of forced to watch, because I don't think either of us were that into them, but we just both like would indulge my deceased husband's whims just because we loved him, and I think maybe he's just like, oh, you know what, actually it's fine, like I'll just be around.
I think it's good. So you will get access to that. The deputy will not bother you. I do owe you a clue from Etienne, though. And Etienne will say on your way to the refrigerated area, he'll say, the freezer, we'll call it the freezer. I keep saying this refrigerated area. No one speaks like that. He's taking you back there, and he says, in response to what you were saying, he says, I have a funny feeling about what happened to Albert, and I think it has something to do with the will. I happen to know that his son, David, was cut out of the will recently. And it was let's just say it's been a bone of contention, a fishbone of contention in that family for some time. And he says, but who knows? That may not have anything to do with it. And
of course. But was there anything maybe that David had done to deserve such a punishment?
I couldn't say. You'd have to go talk to the family. But I know that only because, well, Allison Krauss and I, that's the mother, we have a friendship that goes way back. And when this all happened, she gave me a call. She was very stressed out about it.
And this friendship.
He's got nothing else to say. You are at the freezer. Okay, let's go back to Bertie and Evelyn. So Bertie and Evelyn, this sort of shadowy individual did drop something. You saw something fall distinctly on the ground. You can see it, the rough shape of it, in the the flashing police light thing. Bertie, what do you do?
Bertie first checks on Evelyn. She's like, "My dear, are you okay? Are you what?
Just a shadowy person. It's probably one of them teenagers in a hoodie, just lingering. You know how they linger, Jess. But they were telling us to step back, which tells us we've got to just step more in."
Right. Bertie's a little bit like, did this happen, or is this Evelyn kind of obsession with local youth? And now that she's established that Evelyn's okay, Bertie's gonna go over to where she sees something has been dropped on the floor.
Yeah.
To pick up.
What you find is a clue you're getting for free.
Okay.
The clue is, you thought it was like, maybe because you've seen too many spy movies or something, you thought it was like a pistol with a silencer, right? But it wasn't. It is a small little handgun that you might find in a purse. It's very feminine. It has a like bedazzled handle with like little colorful crystals. It's a very cute little handgun. But that's your clue.
Yeah, Birdie's gonna pick it up and just sort of turn it over, looking at the bedazzled, handle. She doesn't like firearms, but she likes the bedazzled handle. Oh wow, how cute! Like, kind of like looking at it, and then she's gonna sort of look around whether anyone's seen her pick up this firearm or not.
Doesn't seem like it, no.
Okay, then she's gonna open the enormous handbag that she had, drop it in, but like in one of the pockets, so that she knows, which pocket. Then put it back, and then like shuffle back to Evelyn and be like, "Well, I believe you. I found a handgun on the floor."
A gun! You found... I don't say, like a... What kind? Like a...
Very pretty.
Gollum.
Don't usually like firearms, but this one's very stylish, I have to say.
Oh, you just carry it around in your purse.
It looks like the kind of gun you would put in a purse, quite small. But you're saying a hooded youth accosted you with this?
It was shadowy. Or it's hard to see, I'd barely got to look at them. It's just pure speculation on my part, honestly. Just somebody lingering, and they didn't like that we were looking.
I've got it now in the bag.
Do we think it could be the wife? That sounds like the son of the wife.
Yes, we know your theories, Evelyn. We know your theories. But, I mean, it is the kind of handgun I would attribute to maybe a wealthy woman. But,
I love it. You can go ahead and add that handgun, describe it however you wish, to your cozy little place.
Oh, I have a handgun in my cozy place now.
Yes,
Pew pew.
yes.
Yeah. Let me put tiny gun.
Let me go back over to Muriel. So Muriel, you're in the freezer, and it's a pretty large space. It's probably like the size of a, like an overly large bedroom or something, right? There's fish just stacked on top of each other, like one after the other on all the walls, but nestled on a shelf between some fish, between two shelves of fish, are, sorry, I'll say that again. Nestled between two shelves of fish is what must be Albert Krause's body. They have taken the opportunity to wrap it in a blue tarp, so it is wrapped up in some way, but it's definitely body shaped. What do you do?
I think I ask Etienne, quote unquote, and the deputy to unwrap the body for me so I can take a better look. Still sort of like strong-arming the deputy, like, if the sheriff finds out that you didn't help me, there's gonna be hell to pay.
He's Muriel, what's your surname? Do you know?
Yeah, Wills, come on.
McCrawdy.
McCrawdy? Trolled at it.
Muriel McCrawdy.
He says, you, don't worry, Miss McCrawdy, I've got it here. And he undoes the tarp, and you do see the sort of like blue waterlogged body of a middle-aged man. He is still wearing what appears to be like a dressing gown or something, like a robe. What do you do?
So I think Muriel is expecting to find evidence of, suffocation, all that kind of thing that you would expect with drowning. What she's going to be looking is for anything that doesn't fit that description. So, marks of self-defense, maybe like things under the nails, or some kind of bruising from a fight or something like that.
Yeah, go ahead and make the meddling move with reason.
Okay. I think this... You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it really reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacour.
Ah, very good.
Whoa!
So let's do the Gold Crown mystery move. Let's read it. So it says, once per session, just once, when any maven says, "This reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacour," you work with the other players to describe how something that is happening in the situation reminds you of an event from one of the Gold Crown mysteries featuring Super Sleuth Amanda Delacour. At a minimum, you've got to tell me the name of the mystery in particular. Puns are great. The problem or situation Amanda found herself in that's similar to what you're doing, and how she eventually overcame the problem. So you all get to decide all that.
Well, there was this story entitled.
Watery knave.
No, it was a party on the HMS Death.
A party on the HMS Death.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Amanda Delacour and
And the HMS Death.
and the party on the HMS Death. Yeah.
Good. I love it. So what was the situation?
I think in that book, someone of great wealth had fallen overboard during a soiree out at sea with all sorts of rich folks in attendance, and there was a suspicion of foul play because they were in, I can't remember the word for it now. Is it a ton something or other in which like it's whoever is the last person alive gets all the money, which have been outlawed now but were a thing back in the day, but essentially everyone expected everyone who was part of this dealing, and they're all like, well, he drowned, that was the cause of death. But Amanda, being the very, very sly detective that she is, found signs of bruising on the body's lower back, where he had obviously been pushed into the bars on the side of the ship and then fallen over. So that's what she's looking under the body and looking for places in which someone might have grabbed at things and all that kind of stuff.
That's fabulous.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's
one
good.
of my favorites.
Anything to add, Evelyn or Muriel? Is that all good?
Yeah.
I loved the dress she was wearing on the cover.
That's my input.
I've always imagined her as a sort of like a Carmen Sandiego figure. Do they have Carmen Sandiego in the UK?
Just say Carmen Sandiego. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so great. So what happens now is you take a 12 plus on your next roll, your information meddling move, rather. And so that means you don't have to roll any dice. You get a 12 plus, and the 12 plus on the meddling move means you're going to get your clue, but you also find a void clue, or learn something about the dark conspiracy in Brindlewood Bay. You're going to get a void clue, but your regular clue for now, this is not even your clue. You just discover that much as Amanda did, there are bruises on his back from a short, sharp shove, right? So certainly killed. The more interesting thing is Sheriff Dalrymple did not notice that in the inner pocket of his robe is a yellow manila envelope, waterlogged, but a yellow manila envelope sealed up with tape. What do you do?
I think Muriel takes out like some sort of. I think they're not like forceps. They're probably like eyebrow plucking.
Little tweezers.
Tweezers, yeah, that's the word. And she sort of uses that to sort of pick up the waterlogged envelope, and she holds it up to the light to see if she can tell what's inside. Because she knows as soon as she brings this out, the deputy's going to snatch it away and be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Where'd that come from?"
Right, yeah, that's good. We'll talk about what's in the envelope later. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to Muriel and Evelyn. Muriel and Evelyn, you're actually going to see the void clue, not.
Sugar.
Or Evelyn and Bertie. You're going to see the void clue, not Muriel. You're probably startled by all this stuff that's just happened. In fact, I think I'd like for you both to take a condition of shaken. Just write down shaken in your condition section, based off what just happened, and that's not about to get any better. The place has surprisingly cleared out. It's like you just turn around and there are no more families. There are no more fishmongers. There are no more noisy kids. Just that police light rotating, casting that blinking red light over everything. And then you realize, just at the periphery of the light is a group of people. I'd say about 6. They are all wearing dark black robes, and they have masks on their faces. The masks are like white marble, like a Greek statue, right, on their faces. And they all in unison turn and point in the direction of the ocean. We'll pick up the scene from there. What do you two do?
Look at the ocean.
You see-
reluctantly turn away.
You see in the moonlight, it stands out in the moonlight, you do see the Krause family's yacht. It's white on the dark waters. But you see something else as well. Something in shadowy outline. Something large. You can't quite make out the shape. Behind the yacht. And as soon as it disappears, and so do these people. You don't see them anymore. Birdie, how do you feel?
I think Birdie just feels like this isn't, you know when you're like, this isn't actually happening to me. Like you've become outside of yourself.
Having an out of body experience.
Yeah.
How about you, Evelyn? How do you feel?
So is it in the water or like behind it, like on the horizon?
It's like on the horizon, yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, Evelyn is kind of like a bit shaky. She like reaches in her coat for like a paper bag of like loose jelly babies, and was like, just, Birdie, did you see that?
You saw that? We saw that.
I got new glasses. I know that what I'm seeing is real now.
There was a thing in the water. David's on that boat. Thing in the water.
Yeah, we can go out and get him. We can go. Would you like a jelly baby?
I'm not. No, I'm thinking of my son.
Yeah.
He's in trouble.
We'll get him. The sheriff said that we could use his vessel. We'll go out. We'll go out and get him just straight away.
I love it. I'm gonna keep you at shaken, Evelyn. I'm going to give Birdie. I'm gonna change shaken to terrified because of David.
Yep.
And back over to Muriel. You said you were opening the envelope, Muriel?
No. So I assume. So I'm picking it up with these forceps of treasure tweezers. And because I know as soon as I bring it out, the deputy's gonna be like, "Oh crap, we missed that," and try and take it away from me.
Sure, maybe.
So I'm just
you never know, Brindlewood Bay Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, well, she's expecting that level.
Right, yeah.
Maybe she's giving them too much credit.
They put a body in a freezer with fish.
But with that in mind, she's going to hold the envelope up against the light. Because it's waterlogged, I think it's going to be slightly transparent.
Sure,
so it's going to hopefully see some of the text of whatever's inside.
It's you won't see that, but you will notice that it's lots of like narrow strips of paper, like receipts.
I think Miriam is going to take this opportunity to show off in front of the deputy and say, now, how thorough of an investigation did the Brindlewood County Police Department make when they took this body in, deputy?
And I think at that point, the deputy, his little radio thing starts to squawk, and it says, "Yeah, this is the sheriff. Those old ladies, they didn't show up there, did they?" And the deputy's like, "1 second." He just walks off. So you can look in the envelope if you want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's have a little look inside.
The envelope is a bunch of receipts. They are a little waterlogged, so it's hard to tell quite precisely what they are, but you can generally figure out that they are receipts for very extravagant purchases. Artwork, artwork, antiques, clothing, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That is your capital C clue, though, so you can add that to your
Right.
list.
I think Miriam, in her sort of handbag, she might have like a portable hairdryer that she might try and plug in to sort of dry the receipts out with.
That's fantastic. I think maybe Etienne will probably say, "I think we should probably go," before Sheriff Dalrymple starts making the deputy exercise some real authority here. What did you find, though? What is this?
Just some receipts, darling. Don't you worry, pretty little head. We've got all the information that we need. Thanks.
Good. I think we'll put the three of you together then.
Immediately, I'm going to be like, "Where the hell have you two been?"
So the three of you together, I think this will be just like on a little bench outside the fish market. So role play, take it away.
Birdie's like, I think Birdie goes up to Muriel and like puts her hand on like Muriel's front, and like Muriel's, I think, imagining smaller than Birdie. Like, is she like a small lady, or
She's built like a sort of pit bull. Like she's,
Yeah.
Okay.
stocky
Short but solid.
Short. Yeah. Can't really knock her over very easily.
So, Birdie's gonna put hands on Muriel's shoulders, firm shoulders, and she's saying, "Oh, Muriel, we saw the most awful thing, and now my David, he's in trouble. He's on the boat. There's something coming for him on the boat.
Coming for him? What?
Evelyn and I saw it."
Evelyn, what in tarnation is she talking about?
Oh, Muriel, it was huge. It was horrible. It was in the ocean and it's going to eat her son. We've got to get the boat, Muriel. You've got to get it.
But Birdie's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, Maggie. I don't know what to do.
We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him off that boat, and we're gonna leave the rest. That the murderers to that sea monster. The Lord has sent him down, and David's not ready to go.
Evelyn is clearly like making Birdie more upset.
Yes, not helping. I think Muriel is like, I thought my husband watched too many movies. What on earth are you two talking about? Look, if you're still worried about getting on the boat, we need to go there next anyway. So why don't we go and get Sheriff's little dinghy? We can head off.
Yes, the sooner I get on that boat, the better. I just need to see him. I just need to see he's okay.
We're gonna get him. Like, I'll have like two hands on your shoulders. Like, we're gonna get him. It's fine.
Shaking her. Like,
Did you find anything?
Evelyn, darling, maybe let's bring it down a notch.
That's fine. Yes. Deep breaths, Evelyn. Deep breaths. Did you find anything on the body?
Oh, I found plenty of things. Not that you two had much to do with it, but
There's a lot happening on out here. I'll tell you that.
They didn't even mention the fact that a gun got pulled on them.
No, not yet. Let's convene all the information we have so far. Okay, I investigated the body, but on the way I had a little talk with our French companion. Apparently, sorry, what was the surname again?
Beauregard, yeah. Or Krauss and Beauregard. Beauregard's the friend, yeah.
Oh, I see, right. apparently the Krauses have had a little bit of a disagreement about who might be appearing on the will. And it's the son, David, not your David, mind, who has been taken out of the, let's say, the favor of the family. Now, alone, that would be suspicious, but not evidence of much foul play. But wouldn't you know that just as I was looking at the body, whilst there was all of the kind of usual things that you would expect from a drowning case, there just happened to be quite a few bruises. Somebody might have been perhaps pushed overboard.
Just like that. Just like the book,
just like the party at the HMS Death.
Yes, I remember now. Yes, that's the one with the quite a suggestive one from what I remember.
The dress. Oh, we all remember the dress. Yes, we remember that.
I like the idea of that dress was like a scandal in the Amanda Delacourt fan community because she's normally in her trench coat and fedora, but she
dressed up for the party.
She dressed up, yeah. So
all of this gosh darn fan service.
Fantastic. So Deputy, we'll say Anderson is his name, the hapless deputy who he comes back to you and he says, the sheriff said I'm supposed to take you out to the Kraus family yacht if you ask for it. He says that you'll probably want to come up with an excuse for why you're there because the family is, how did he put it? They are not exactly opening up about what happened.
Well, I have an extremely legitimate excuse. My son is on there.
Yeah,
I
we're
need
just
to
paying
go
a
and
visit.
see him.
He's
That
like-
man has been murdered.
I think in here I'm going to have to put you on the spot again. Bertie, what's your surname? Because Deputy Anderson will always call you Mrs. whatever.
Her surname is Honeysuckle.
Okay, he says, Mrs. Honeysuckle, the death of this man from Boston is really, really, really affecting you.
I just think that what's really affecting me is the fact that I just need to know that my David is safe. My David is on there. I need to get him off. He
And
can't be there anymore.
he's like, okay, well, we can go out now. It's still fairly early in the night, and
Absolutely, we'll be going out now, sunshine.
All right,
Deputy,
well,
stop
let's-
flapping your jaw. Let's get on this
he's like,
boat.
okay. And he says, are we taking hot rods on the dinghy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're telling me that in the year 2022 you don't have disabled access on your dinghy?
He says, well, we definitely do now, ever since you brought that up 3 years ago with the town council. And so all police vehicles are now ADA compliant. He
very much.
will fast forward a bit to you all going out on the dark waters. You don't see any sea monsters or anything like that, but you do see approaching ever closer in your vision this big, massive white yacht.
Buddy is definitely looking around to see if there are any sea monsters, though.
Absolutely.
I think-
She's definitely like looking in the water, like clutching.
Actually,
the
I'll give
bag to
you. I'll
her.
give you a meddling move for that. Since you're looking around, you might find something else, right?
Ooh.
Make the meddling move with just with. I think it's actually composure because you're nervous. So,
Okay.
Um,
Do I get a
So here's the
penalty
thing.
for that?
because of your condition, which is terrified, I'm going to put you at disadvantage. Meaning,
I was going to ask if there's a way if we can help.
yeah, there's not a help mechanic, but there are other ways of mitigating a bad outcome if you need to.
Got it.
So you'll roll 3 dice and take the 2 lowest and add
Okay.
your composure.
Yep, that's not gonna do it, I think. That is a 5. That's a 5, yep.
While you were going out, the boat actually bumps into something and sends you like rocking up in the air, right? And Deputy Anderson's like, "What the heck was that?" And I think you see the boat has hit a body. There's a body in the water. Do you want to turn around and see who? Do you want to see who it is, or do you want to put on a crown to avoid this in the fiction?
But Birdie, I don't know. I think Birdie is she's going to put on a crown, I think.
So choose, any of the options from Crown of the Queen, or no, any of the options from Crown of the Void, and then the first option from Crown of the Queen. Those are what you can choose from.
Is that the other way round? Because
let's see. I think I have that right.
The Crown of the Queen, all the options are available to me, but the Crown of the Void, only the first one is.
I must have that. Oh, that's right. That's in order. I'm sorry. I have that backwards. I have another game where it's the other way.
That's right.
Yeah, any you wish from Crown of the Queen, and the first one, the Crown of the Void. Sorry.
I think she's very deliberately thinking of a flashback.
Okay.
Of a memory with David, a fond memory she's had with David. She's kind of clinging to that at the moment as like a source of comfort to her. Yeah. And she's remembering when Maggie was still alive. And they had managed to adopt him. It was very difficult for them. And they finally managed to do it, and they brought him home. One of the first nights they brought him home, he was just a little boy. And they were showing him the aviary that she'd set up. And he was just really excited to see all the birds. She was like teaching him the bird names and being like, that one, this one, this is the call that they make, and he was listening really intently. I think she's remembering that memory. Yeah,
I love it. So in fact, it is not a body. It is a large attaché or briefcase in the water that the boat hit, and Deputy Anderson will fish it out, and he says, I tell you, people just throwing whatever they want in the bay these days. He's not even thinking this could be a clue in the case, and sets it down in the boat next to you, Evelyn. Evelyn, what do you do?
I'm like, it's just littering, the worst kind of littering, and I'll like slip it behind me, so it's like with me and the other girls, and I'll like try and see if I can like open it.
You do. Inside there are stacks and stacks of stock certificates inside the briefcase. What a strange thing to get tossed overboard.
I think at this point, I then relay the information about the receipts. She goes, "Oh, that reminds me."
That's a clue as well. Yeah. Fantastic.
I have been putting our clues in the...
I noticed that. Yeah, that's great.
The mysteries bit.
Thank you.
Oh, that's where they go. Okay.
Fantastic. So you're doing pretty good as far as that goes. You've got 5 clues, and the complexity of this mystery is 6. So when you are getting ready to do the roll, for every clue that you work into your theory, you get +1 to the roll, but then you subtract the complexity. So as long as you get up to about 7 or 8 clues, and you work those into your theory, or somewhere around there, you have a pretty decent shot at being correct on the theory. So let's fast forward to getting on the boat. This is not the HMS Murder or Death or whatever. This is the what is this one? It has a name. Hold on. The Regal Lady.
The Regal Lady.
The Regal Lady. You are assisted, like you can pull up to the back, and they have like a little loading kind of back platform, and there's a very, very fussy butler named Andrew who is there helping you all aboard. And as you're coming aboard, he's not going to stop you because you're with a deputy, but he says, I must insist you tell me, who are you ladies? What is the purpose of your visit?
I think Birdie just pushes him aside. It's like, David! David!
Good. Evelyn, what do you say?
Okay. You can't keep a woman from her son. Who do you think you are?
He's like, David Krause is not that woman's son. He is Alison Krause's son.
The better looking David.
Birdie turns around and looks disdainfully at the butler. And it's like, my son is 100 times the man that David Krause is.
And Andrew looks up at you and he says, well, you won't get any complaints or any argument from me on that score, madam. But yes, it is most confusing around here these days. David's everywhere you look.
Where's my David? Where is he? He's like going up to Andrew.
Sorry,
he says the family is currently the family is getting ready to have dinner in the next, well, in exactly 37 minutes. And I hope that whatever business you have here will be resolved by then. As you know, we have suffered a rather significant inconvenience in the last 24 hours, and we are, everyone is in quite a state. If you just wait here, please. And he goes.
I think, during all of that, Muriel was still climbing the ladder up. And she's like almost at the top. She's like, darling, you're getting in the way of an important investigation. He's already gone.
Birdie's like wringing her hands and like looking around, thinking like, oh, why do I let him do anything? Like, why does I let him leave? Why did I never have gone to university? Met this
Muriel claps both her hands, like not far away from Birdie's face, to grab her attention. And she goes, Birdie, you gotta snap out of this right now. We are on the crux of an important investigation, and we cannot allow our personal biases to get in the way of justice and the law.
It's easy for you to say that. You haven't got any stakes in this.
I have a stake in this.
The deputy
My
says,
reputation.
the deputy says, Roger that, Sheriff. Ladies, I was informed to remind you from the sheriff that you are not to solve the case. You're here just to find evidence of foul play, right? And he says, I'll be in the dinghy. And he goes to the dinghy.
I'd love it if he just float like.
It's like slowly
slides
descends, right? Yeah. Okay, so I want to take a little break, but before we do, I want to ask you a question about the Regal Lady, and you can think about it while we're on break. As you're sort of, maybe roaming around the top deck of the yacht, what do you see that indicates these people have more money than they know what to do with? Okay, so the Regal Lady. How do we know these people have more money than they know what to do with?
They've got to have like a jacuzzi on a boat.
Oh,
like
yeah.
classic,
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got
I was going to say they have like a full swimming pool.
Oh, even
which,
better.
like, considering it's on water,
And I
having
will
water
tell
on top
you,
of it.
Right now,
just seems
David
ridiculous.
Krause is currently in the jacuzzi. You will see him. So,
Oh
course.
my goodness. I think that they have. This is a problem. I've never been remotely rich, so I don't know what rich people have. Let's say that they have like a full bar set up, like probably next to the jacuzzi, with like elaborate marble, like a marble bar top.
Like so heavy.
Yeah, like either it's marble or at least it tries to imitate it. And it's got like these shelves and shelves of the kind of booze that you're just like, I would never even pay for a shot of that, let alone like entire bottles.
I think,
oh, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I doubled up on Maddie, so
That's okay.
I think maybe this is actually the Regal Lady 2. And as we look into one of the rooms, there's like framed pictures of the family standing in front of the 4 or 5 different yachts they've owned over the years.
That's great. You all will hear David Krause in the jacuzzi. The bar is nearby as well in that part of the boat. You'll hear David Krause say, Andrew, are you gonna bring me a lemon for my water, or do I have to squeeze it out of my hat? And there's no response. Muriel, what do you do?
Can I see any lemons around?
Any what now?
Any lemons around?
Oh, no.
What about the bar area?
Oh, sure.
Is there
Yeah.
like a,
Yeah, you can maybe find
so
something
like
over
an
there.
accoutrement section. Yeah, I think I'll go rummaging around for one and then bring it over to him.
He says, he's wearing sunglasses. It's nighttime. He's wearing sunglasses in the jacuzzi. He's submerged up to like his chin, and he says, "Oh, wonderful! Now there's an outbreak of elderly women on the boat. Terrific. Well, as long as you're going to bring me a lemon for my drink."
Yeah, so she's got a lemon in hand and she says, "I did, darling. And when I was brought up, we were taught to say thank you when somebody brought us things."
He says, "I love your accent. It's very provincial."
It is.
I think Birdie hears this exchange. I imagine she's in full, like, if you've seen, like, I'm just channeling, like, angry mother who is suddenly in full, like...
She's like stomping over.
Yeah, she's furious
The
at what they've
clip
done.
of small heels.
Yeah, in her small heels with her straight leg trousers and her blouse, and her hat. And she's like holding her hat and her big bag, and she comes like stomping over to the jacuzzi, and she looks down at David, and she's like, "Have you seen my son?"
And he says, "Well, I'm assuming your son is not Andrew, and since my father decided to go and, well, get himself killed, the only other person on this boat who could be someone's son is the other David." That's what we've taken to calling him. "Yes, he is down below in the lounge."
Well, thank you. I'm going to go and see him now. Enjoy your lemon.
I am absolutely grief-stricken right now. This is how I cope.
You know, I was just going to ask you a question about that, sweetheart. You don't seem all that sad to me.
He says, "I've had a lifetime to learn various coping mechanisms and defensive skills, and, well, I have a lot on my mind in addition to my father's quite sudden death. And who are you again?"
Listen, my name isn't important, but you can call me Muriel. The thing I wanted to say was, in fact, I would like to put us back on a good foot, if I can. Apologies for all the ways in which we've been rude to you. We're here on other business. We're seeing the other David, as you call him. But I just wanted to extend my condolences on your father's death. And also say that, I always thought from all the stories that people said around town, he was never that kind to you, and I hope that you feel that we all know that you deserved better.
Make the meddling move with presence.
She loves to meddle.
She loves a good meddling.
I wish she had more presence.
Yeah, considering how you're approaching the investigation, your presence should be a lot higher.
Alright, here we go.
This is fun.
It's exactly a 7 again. I don't know how I keep rolling 7s, but here we are.
He says, "That's very kind of you, thank you." And we'll come back to this scene. Evelyn, I think probably Muriel has David Krause under control. What are you doing? You will hear some loud weeping coming from down below.
Ooh, yeah. I'll probably just like head
Oh,
downstairs,
God.
like pretend that I'm lost.
Indeed.
Just be like wandering around, like looking indoors and stuff.
Sarah Krause, you can gather it's probably Sarah because she looks a little... Emily was significantly younger. Sarah Krause is in a little sitting area down below decks. And she's weeping. She's kind of... Her face is on the back of the couch in her arm, and she's like just crying in great heaving sobs. What do you do?
I'll reach out and bring out like a monogrammed hanky, and like sidle over and like hold it out to her. Like, "Here you're right, dear."
She's like, "Oh, thank you." And she wipes her eyes. She says, "I think I'm the only member of my family who's actually sad that my father is gone."
I'm so sorry about that. Deepest sympathies.
And she says, "Oh, go ahead."
No, go on.
She says, "Thank you. My mother, she's just so focused on her next fundraiser event, and my brother, his ridiculous art shows, and Emily now has her on-again, off-again boyfriend here. Me, on the other hand, I'm not allowed to bring my children on the Regal Lady, and so I'm just practically by myself with my grief."
Oh, that's just terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm giving like a little pat on the back. Oh, they all sound awful. Just the worst kind of lot. And, you can't pick your family, and you got to remember that.
She nods vigorously. Yeah. She's like,
Lying them all.
Make the meddling move with presence, since you are sort of
okay.
soothing her. You can make it with regular dice. I think your shaken condition probably isn't going to affect it, really.
Okay.
Soothing her with just bitterness.
That's what I'm all about. Ooh, presents. That's a 3.
Very good. She says, "Yes." She's like, "Can I confess something to you?"
Oh, of course.
Well, the other day, I overheard something. I saw something. I think I know who did it. I know what happened to my father. He was killed, and I know who did it. The person who did it is...
Tell me.
Oh, I knew this was
know
gonna happen.
I know where this is going.
Don't no. Like panic, looking around, like slapping her on the back, like joking. Get it out! Whatever you saw, let's get it out.
Heimlich maneuver.
Now, I think I'm going to do what's... Do you feel confident in your improv skills, Maddie?
Oh my god, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to do what's called cut to commercial. So I will cut to commercial because the Brindlewood Bay is a TV show.
Okay.
And I give you a prompt, and the prompt is furniture liquidation sale. Everything must go. And when we get back to you, you're going to narrate a little commercial for us. Just give us the commercial. And then your die result turns to a 10 from a 3. So, but think on it. And we'll go back over to Birdie for now. Birdie, you find David and Emily. David says, "Mother, what are you doing here?"
I think Birdie's entrance into the lounge was like the door like opens, the hat is like askew, the bag is like banging around against the doorway. She's like, "David! Oh my god! My baby boy!" And she runs up to him, rushes up to him and hugs him.
He's like, "Mother, it's everything's perfect. I'm fine. Everything is fine. We've had an accident here, but it's nothing to do with me. I certainly didn't do anything."
"You never told me you were here. You never said you were on this boat. You never... Oh, hello, dear."
Emily says, she stands up. She's actually very different from the rest of her family. She wears like flannels and like jeans. She looks much more like laid back, and she kind of says, "Well, he didn't say anything because you weren't exactly approving of our relationship last time."
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, "Mother, don't worry about that. Just I'm happy to see you. I was going to come see you tomorrow, but what are you doing here?"
"Well, I heard about my dear. I'm sorry." And she puts her hand like on Emily's hand, pats it like.
Yeah.
"I'm so sorry to hear about your father. My greatest sympathies."
She's like, "Yeah. Thanks. I mean, we weren't close, but thanks." And she's like, do you want something to eat? I think we're about to have dinner."
"Well, I I just really wanted to talk with David. I've not seen him so long. You know, he does love to travel.
Indeed. I want to cut over to Muriel and David Krause, the other David. What was your die result? You got a 7. You always get 7s, yeah.
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7 to you, sir.
He says, yes, my father, dead. It is, well, it's very sad, of course. I'm feeling pretty choked up about it, as you might imagine. I am reminded, of course, of the great performance artist Gao Bai. Do you know Gao Bai? I run a little exhibit space in Boston, and he might have come and done an exhibit there, but that's neither here nor there.
It's very impressive, darling.
Well, Gao Bai, he was so committed to his work that he actually threw himself from the top of a 5-story building. The ultimate artistic expression, if you ask me. If only my father's death could have been so significant, but he lacked vision.
Whoa. Spicy.
So, you're under the impression it was a suicide?
No, I have no idea. But, well, if you must know, I do know that my older sister Sarah and my father had a pretty bad argument a couple of days ago. I couldn't quite tell what they were arguing about, but it was a real knockdown, drag-out sort of thing. Things were thrown and smashed. Words were said. Expletives. I never got a chance to follow up with my father because, well, he had his accident, as my mother's saying. I'm sorry. Why do you want to know all this?
Oh, look at me meddling again. It's nothing to do with me, darling. I just, we wanted to...
He's like, I like you.
Thank you.
You're very... what's the word? You have X factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've definitely heard that before. Now, listen, darling, we are here to pick up the other David, as you keep calling him.
Have you ever done any painting or artistic endeavors?
Oh, my ex-husband, my late husband, he perhaps delved into the artistic disputes. He was somewhat of an amateur director.
Oh, of stage or film?
Film, mainly.
Oh. Anything I would have seen?
He definitely kept his artistic endeavors to a small circle. It was never about the fame for him.
Got it. Art house, low budget, check.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But listen, we're just here to pick up David. I just wanted to once again express my condolences and say it is so tragic how your father treated you, and I hope that those complicated emotions aren't playing too much into your grief period right now.
Thank you. You're very kind. And he takes your hand and pats it like he knows what you're supposed to do in such situations. He pats it. Says, and I'm going to give you a condition. This is your complication on the clue. The condition is X Factor.
You have the X Factor.
You have it.
Oh,
fantastic.
The Christmas #1 any second now. Well.
Have I fallen into the compliment I've been given?
All right, we're cutting back from commercial at this point.
Okay.
Maddie, everything must go. Furniture liquidation sale.
Let's go. We open on a crane shot of an industrial park, just car park with the random shops, a hardware thing, all sorts, and in the middle in a really unassuming kind of thing with a brown easel, awning, not an easel, brown awning, and Tony's Furniture Barn painted on top with the T's hanging off a bit, and we then we go into the doors, and the camera goes up to a wardrobe, and a guy comes out of it in an ill-fitting suit with really bad dyed black hair, and he's like, "Hey guys, welcome to Tony's Furniture Barn. It's all all gonna go. And then like it keeps cutting to stuff where like he like rolls out from under a bed and he's like, this is gotta go. There's like a bit where like his head pops up in like a toilet and he's like, this has gotta go. It's gotta go. He does like the wardrobe thing again.
This one's definitely gotta go.
And he's like, and he's getting like slightly more and more manic, and then like he's like gets to him and he's like on the bed and he's like, it's gotta go. It's just it's gotta go. We're gonna get rid of it. And like it's just like and eventually like, grabs the camera. He's like, it's gotta go. And then like cuts. And then that's it.
Bravo.
And then like
Thank you.
a little jingle and it's like Tony's Furniture Barn. It's all gotta go.
I love it. Bravo. Okay, we come back to your scene. That was very good.
Yes.
And your result is now a 10 instead of a 3.
Okay.
And Sarah Krause says, sorry, I think I swallowed a canapé funny earlier.
Oh, you just scared me half to death. I can't have somebody die in my arms. I can't do that.
We've had too much of that, haven't we? Death.
Yes, too much. But you know something, right?
Oh well, I do. Well, I know that. I think. I hate to say it, but I think my mother. I think she was very angry with my father.
Was she now?
She was. She says, well, my mother, of course, she is the most significant philanthropist on the Eastern Seaboard. And I found a guest list for one of her upcoming events. And my father's name was scratched out quite violently.
Scratched out.
I think there's something going on. I think they've always had a lot of tension, my mother and my father, because of
tension.
Because of Stephen. She looks down. Stephen, of course, is Etienne, the fishmonger.
Oh, do you know about oh gosh.
She's like,
that's tough. That's
crime
tough.
of passion?
That is.
I don't know. I couldn't say. But
You know,
they say the wife always did it, you know?
I've heard this. I have heard this. And you don't want to make assumptions, but it's hard being a wife, and sometimes things just happen, don't they? And not pegging your mother for anything, but
She's like, oh, well, yes, I know. I mean, my own husband died rather suddenly and tragically. But that's really not important.
no, not important.
But that's your clue. There's a lot of stuff there, I think. The capital C version of the clue is that she had crossed his name off a guest list. But there's lots of important context that you also got.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at our clues, in fact. Because I think we are now up to... I think you also have one from David, which was the...
yes, argument.
The argument between Sarah and Mr. Krause, that's right. You're up to 7 clues, which puts you at a +1 if you work them all into the theory, which is not a bad roll. We'll go just a little bit more, and then I think we'll probably move over to theorize. So let's cut over with Emily and the other David and Birdie. Emily says, I'm going to go get us some water. And she gets up and leaves. Interestingly, she doesn't summon Andrew, right? She goes. And David says, okay, Mother, what is going on? Why are you here in the middle of the night?
David, just listen to me. Listen to your mother. I just feel I have a very bad feeling about all of this. A man has died here. I just don't know whether this is a good idea for you to be on this boat. With look, I know we've had disagreements in the past about your various romantic exploits. Many of them you've had, yes. But I just want you to know it's not about me feeling like you're not doing the right thing or whatever. I'm worried about you. I just don't want anything to happen to you.
He says, Mother, you're look at you, your hand is shaking. And he kind of takes your hand. And he kind of says, yes, there's something weird going on. Very, very strange. He says, I've been here for several nights now. And at night, I wake up and I hear this sound. Something coming from deep inside the yacht. I thought it was just the engine room, this loud, droning, mechanical sound. But, well, on the night of Mr. Krause's disappearance, the night when he was supposed to have fallen overboard, I heard something else. It wasn't a mechanical sound, it wasn't droning, coming from the belly of the boat. It was chanting. Words were being chanted. It sounded like it was dozens of people. Was I just dreaming, Mother?
And she opens her bag and she brings out a huffer, oh, David, you've got to come with me, please. If not for my sake, but for your mother's sake. She told me to look after you. I don't think it's okay. You can bring Emily if you want.
Mother, I have something else to tell you. Emily and I are engaged.
she throws up.
Do you visibly gag?
She's just coughing, and she
Mother, are you okay?
Searches in her bag again for the huffer and
Are you okay? Did you swallow a canapé wrong?
You can't just drop that kind of information on me. How long has this been going on?
Well, we can talk about it. We can talk about it later. But you're right. I think we need to get out of here. There's something very weird going on here.
Yes, if I hear another revelation from you, I might not make it off of here either. You need to come with your mother. At least get in the dinghy or something. There's something wrong going on here. Not just chanting with the family. Please, just try and convince Emily to come with you and get in the dinghy.
Indeed. So that revelation about the chanting, that's a void clue. So we would list that over in our void clues section on the left, Dark Conspiracy.
Ah!
And now I should tell you, mechanically, these void clues cannot be used to solve the murder mystery. That's not what they're for.
Yeah.
They are like a timer. So if we were playing the full campaign, as you find more of these void clues, the occult conspiracy starts to reveal itself in different ways. And when you reach a certain amount, usually after 10 sessions or so, you are then entitled to face the occult conspiracy and try to stop it. So, but yeah, creepy stuff going on in Brindlewood Bay. So, are we starting to think we have a theory? Do you want to talk to a couple more people? What are we thinking right now?
Maybe we should meet up.
Yes, I
Let's
think we
put
should
you all
discuss.
Maybe we'll put you all together they are having dinner, and since you're here, you might as well join them. And so they have a dining table set up in the aft top deck of the ship with, beautiful white tablecloth, and there's string lights, that kind of thing. And you're meeting the last family member, who's Allison, who sits at the head of the table. She's very thin, very graceful, very well dressed. She is just chattering on with you. She's like, well, of course, it's just like Albert to go and get himself killed when I'm on the precipice of charity fundraiser greatness. The man could be so self-involved. And Sarah's crying. Emily is is kind of canoodling with other David. David is on his cell phone in the middle of dinner, and the three of you are there, and Andrew is serving dinner. So but you're at one end of the table, so you can discuss.
I was going to say, are we like in a little corner where we can just whisper to each other?
Exactly.
I think Birdie's like, her hands are like shaking, and she's like, ding, 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 like her cutlery and her glass, like.
All right, now, Birdie, let's just anchor you on this table here. Oh no, you're shaking the table now, darling. Okay.
Have some of the white wine. Just have a sip.
She like brings it up to her mouth.
Take the edge off.
And it like some of it like falls like onto her blouse, like.
Oh no! I get like a napkin. I'm like dabbing away.
Listen. All right. Now, Birdie, you're going to be okay, but we need to talk about what's going on this boat.
Oh, there's so much going on.
What did you find?
Oh, well, that's Sarah, the one crying. She thinks her mother did it. She's convinced.
Mother?
Yeah.
My goodness, what evidence would suggest that?
Well, I think her mother isn't, even cut up about it. And, it's always... Oh, that was the name of the guest list. She crossed his name off the guest list. It's not just me making it up again.
So you did find a clue then, darling.
I did. It just went straight to my head, the excitement and knowledge that I was right. No, there's this big thing, this big event, and she crossed his name off. The only name that was crossed off the list. Scratched off, she said, angrily, which, is not a good look.
I was talking to the son, David, and he, again, not very cut up about the whole situation. The rumors about him being stricken off the will, well, I think they might be true, because he did not protest when I brought it up, so he obviously did not have any correction for me. But not only that, there was something strange that he mentioned. Apparently, the father and Sarah got into an argument the night that he was killed.
Maybe that's why she's so cut up, because it's guilt. Pure guilt and remorse.
Now, girls, I must say, there is a picture starting to form in my head. I don't know about y'all, but I'm starting to think that maybe it's going to be more tricky to find who's innocent on this boat than it is to find who's guilty.
Well, I just have one thing to add. David, and Emily are engaged.
Oh, like spit some of my wine.
Spit
What?
take. Oh. And did David ask for your permission, darling?
No. But that's fine.
Like, how long have they even been back together at any engagement?
Oh, I wouldn't know. My son doesn't tell me anything. And she looks over at her, David, like...
I'll also look over them.
Well, that does bring us some good news, darling. Because if these two have been spending their time like they are now, she points over to these two, just sort of like, PDAing on the table, then at least they could give each other a strong alibi for the night.
This is true.
Don't want to know what's going on that night with those two.
No.
Let's go ahead and review the clues. So, we know that David was being cut out of Albert's will. We have this small, bedazzled, cute handgun, like you might put in a purse. We have, the bruises on Albert's back when he got pushed off of the boat. We have the yellow manila envelope that has these. The important detail there for the envelope is these extravagant purchases.
Did we see that some of those were like art and stuff?
Yes, some of them is art. Yes, some of it's art. Yeah. We have a briefcase filled with stock certificates. We have Allison or someone apparently angry at Albert and violently crosses his name off a guest list, which features other members of the family, by the way. And there was an argument between Sarah and Mr. Krause. So the way this works is you can add, as players, you can add any extra context that would help you prove your theory. So if, like you asked Maddie about the receipts, you could say that the extravagant purchases were all artwork, and that might point towards David, right? Or something like that. Or expensive trips for Sarah's family or whatever, right? Something along those lines. So you can kind of like shade these clues a little bit to give it the context to make the theory work. But yeah, we just kind of discuss it, basically out of character. I'll kind of guide the discussion as needed, and you just have to incorporate the clue or explain it away in order to get credit for it on the die roll. So,
okay,
what do we think?
Here's what I think.
Okay.
I think that both the mother and Sarah and David as well, actually, are all probably...
Everyone but Emily.
Everyone but Emily. So what I think has happened is all three of them have been like grabbing at the family fortune, and recently have been going, and you know, we've already got the extravagant purchases in the yellow manila envelope of all of these art pieces for David's potentially for David's museum and things like that. We've got the guest list to this beautiful fancy event that is probably going to take a lot of money for this fundraiser. We've got the stock certificates, which could imply that perhaps maybe either what's the victim's name again?
Albert Krause.
Albert.
Either Albert has been making some important purchases in the business, or perhaps he's being told to make some purchases by another family member, perhaps the mother. And with this all in mind, he became furious, as evidenced by the argument between Sarah and him. And he's been slowly deciding to cut all of them out of his will. And all of the money, if he has his way, would go to Emily. The only one who isn't, constantly seeking funding for all of her projects and all that kind of thing. So with that in mind, and after he sort of like put his money where his mouth is by cutting David out, he started to threaten the other two that if they don't stop going after his money, he's going to cut them out as well. Yes. At which point, all three of them started to decide that perhaps what needs to be done is Dad needs to have a little accident on the boat before this can happen. And I think David was the one who actually did it in exchange for them agreeing to, after the fact, give him some of the money that he would have missed out on from the will.
I'm curious,
Sarah probably stayed downstairs and was like, I don't want to think about it, and now the reality of what's happening.
The guilt.
I think there was some interesting context when Sarah mentioned that her own husband died under strange circumstances. So this kind of thing may not be beyond her. I'm curious about, I think for the stock certificates, if I can add a little extra bonus context, I think it would be interesting if the stock certificates were purchased for Sarah's young children. That way, it kind of really closely tied. They all three have this financial stake in what's going on.
Yeah, investment.
I think my last thing I'm going to say as well is that with David refusing to leave the jacuzzi, perhaps when he comes to dinner, he's wearing a suspiciously covered up outfit. Considering the weather or something like that. It's why is he wearing a turtleneck and some
up to
dinner gloves? Yeah.
Does he have bruises or something?
Maybe he's got some bruises that would match up to the ones on the body.
How does the handgun factor in?
Yeah, the handgun is the one that is.
That's the mother's or Sarah's, I guess, or David stole it. But yeah,
it could have been the case that they had other plans of getting rid of him, and maybe there was a moment where it all kind of all the anger.
If it's night, she probably already had it. She might just always carry it.
How about this? I will give you all a chance to add the context. What about Allison's appearance at the dinner confirms the handgun is hers.
Or like little like gems on the nails.
Okay. Oh, good. Perfect. She's got the same little like
yeah. She
bedazzled things.
clearly
Yeah, that's good.
she
That's good.
clearly likes stuff that's
A
like,
little
done
blingy.
up
Yeah.
and very
Can we
blingy.
can we like say that one of us sort of like asks like, oh, what beautiful nails, and she's like, oh, thank you, my kids, you know, they got this gem kit for their birthday. They've been adding it to all of my things. Isn't it the darndest?
Oh, fabulous. Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe the handgun was intended initially to be the way they were going to get. I think maybe they were going to shoot him and then push him off.
Or it just,
But
or it just
then-
kind of implies that she was the shadowy figure, right? Who threatened to
Yeah.
do all. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was keeping close tabs on everything. She's like kind of like a bit of an organizer. Like we
Right.
know,
Yeah.
making sure like she's like, okay, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. We're gonna like
Yeah.
tie everything up. And she was like keeping an eye on the fish market.
Well, and
being
that
like,
further
you know,
makes it like a conspiracy too, right? It kind of makes it
Yeah.
more a conspiracy
Yeah.
between the three of them. So yeah, that's really good. Okay, let's review. So we have, so basically all three of them had like a serious financial motive to kill Albert. The handgun it sort of speaks to the conspiracy because we think it was Allison's. And the argument between Sarah and Albert. I think it's interesting that like they're trying to throw each other under the bus, right? Like that's an intriguing
Yeah, now
detail.
I think maybe they were expecting it not to get investigated, but now it is. They're all like, well, of course I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, cool. Do you have anything to add, Maddie or Alex?
I love it.
Pretty
It's
tight to
perfect.
me,
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to me. I'm into it. Okay, so let's get some dice on the table. You've got a +1 on the roll because you incorporated 7 clues, and then we subtract the complexity of 6. So whoever wants to roll the dice, go ahead and take it away.
Should I roll?
Yeah, I roll badly. Please do.
Okay. At least we'll get a minimum.
At least a
of 7.
7.
Yeah. Okay. And we've got a +1.
You do indeed, yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, I rolled a 9 plus 1
It's 10. Good.
is 10.
Now, let me tell you this.
Excellent stuff, Wills.
Thank you.
Let's read the move, theorize. When you have an open freewheeling discussion about the solution, roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the theory or otherwise explained away, minus the complexity. We did all that. On a 10 plus, it's the correct solution. The keeper will present an opportunity to take down the culprit or otherwise save the day. However, if you get a 12 plus, a person involved in the dark conspiracy of Brindlewood Bay also reveals themselves to the Mavens. So if you all now normally this is a new rule for the Kickstarter version of the game. This is not in the original rules. You can't normally use the crown on the theorize roll because it's like a group roll. But if you each put on a crown, you can bump it up to a 12 if everyone agrees to.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
And we could potentially put on one of the spooky crowns.
You can
as well,
indeed,
right?
yeah. You can put on Shadow in the Garden if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
I'm putting
Wait,
on a
we're
shadow
all-
in the garden.
We're putting on the spooky one.
We don't have to.
You don't
but
have
I'm
to.
going to put on
but
the spooky one.
You
Yeah.
just each have to mark either a queen or a void. It's up to you.
For context, hereafter, during cozy vignettes focused on you or cozy move scenes involving you, you must also narrate how dark entities subtly reveal themselves in the scene.
Very fun.
I love it.
I think I'm gonna go for the flashback of showing how I think a flashback of Birdie's late partner Maggie.
Okay. Go for it. If you're ready to go ahead and do it. Yeah.
I think, like, for a moment, the conversation that's happening around Birdie kind of drowns out a little bit. Or, like, it starts being kind of muffled. And she remembers when they were both sat in, I think it was on the sort of stony beach of Brindlewood Bay. And they're both sat on, like, a bench. And David is, like, running around playing with like one of his toys, and like Maggie puts her head like on Birdie's kind of shoulder into her neck, and they're just both watching him run around. And Maggie's just like, I never thought we'd do it. I never thought we'd get him. But we've got him. And she's like squeezing Birdie's hand, and like Birdie doesn't say anything, but she just sort of snuggles her head against Maggie's hair.
I love it. I
love these flashbacks.
What did you choose, Evelyn?
I'm going to do present day showing a burgeoning romance.
Oh.
Everyone will be at a life drawing class.
Okay, good.
Oh my god, Evelyn. I love it.
Staring at a knob.
And as her eyes glance up from that particular occasion, she makes eye contact with this older gentleman, and he gives her a little smile, and and it's after they've been having a few classes, and he's always up there. He always volunteers, and she loves that daring. She's like sketching with her charcoal, and then maybe there's like a bit where they're at her house and they've got like an easel, and he's like guiding her hand to like sketch like a
Oh
little
my god,
charcoal
it's like
sketch.
ghost stuff.
Yes.
I love it. That's so great. Okay, yeah.
So because I'm not doing anything this session, and because we probably won't have another session because we're doing a one shot, I have a suggestion as to how a member of the dark conspiracy of Brindlewood Bay could also reveal themselves.
I've got it under control. Don't worry. It is well in hand.
Cool.
It is well in
I
hand.
feel like we might be doing the same thing anyway. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
It is well in hand. It's coming later. For now, you're correct. You are correct. You will present your. You will let Sheriff Dalrymple know you've solved the case despite the fact that you were instructed not to. And the way we're going to handle this is just in a sort of a montage of scenes. You'll each take part of it, where we basically show essentially the three Krauses being brought to justice. Like, what does that look like? The moment. Think about it for a moment, and everybody gets to take a little bit of the narration. So,
I think we're doing maybe like a. Like the big Sherlock Holmes reveal.
oh yeah.
Slash
The smart
Poirot
bull
slash
thing,
whoever.
Poirot,
Yeah, we're doing that sort of thing of like.
The fish market.
Yeah, how strange it is that this happened, and yet where were you exactly, David?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then like we're like passing lines between us and stuff like that, like an organized stage play.
I really go in on the mother part. I really hone in on that.
It's fantastic. I love it. Anything else somebody wants to add to the scene?
I think Birdie's just like got David with her, and Emily, and she's just like, don't worry, my dear, you're safe now. I've got you. Both of you. She's like patting their hands, like both of their hands. She's like, you're, and looks at Emily. She's like, I'll look after you now, my dear. Don't worry.
I love it.
She's being very, very protective
Yes.
of them.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's good.
I'm imagining like we like call it in and say they're armed and dangerous, like a police helicopter comes or something, like way more dramatic than it needs to be.
I like the idea of Deputy Anderson doesn't know what to do. He's like, should I arrest someone or yeah. Good. Eventually, it'll all be put together. The Krauses will be brought to justice. Sheriff Dalrymple will thank you for your help, though in a curmudgeonly, exasperated way, and we'll fast forward a little bit to afternoon coffee with other David and Birdie. He says, "Oh, Mother, I'm so happy all of that is behind us."
Oh my dear, so am I. I'm just so glad you're safe with me.
I am. Mother, I needed to let you know that I am going to be staying in Brindlewood Bay for a while.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'll have you here. You can come and visit as much as you like.
Yes, I'd like that very much. He says, Mother, I have something to show you. And he goes into his little man bag or, courier bag or whatever. And he's bent down so you can't see what he's doing. But when he raises back up, he's wearing one of those masks, the stone masks, like a Greek statue. And he says, "I've been doing a lot of research about the town, Mother. There's a history here that I intend to help uncover. I'm about to go on a very, very dark and challenging journey, and I was hoping you'd join me." And we'll just cut there. Go to end of session. And
What a pilot.
I'll take a 12-episode order, please. Yeah. Let's go to our end of session question. So the first question is, did the Murder Maven solve a mystery? Yes. So you all will get credit for that, and you'll get 1 XP, which you mark on your little track down there. And now we just go character to character. So Evelyn, did you behave like a woman half your age? These are very loosely interpreted questions as well, so make your case. Or if anybody else has a thought.
That's a hard one. Maybe not.
Did you dote on someone? You did dote on Sarah, I think, pretty well.
Yes, yeah.
So take credit for that one. Let's go over to Muriel. Did you show someone that you've, quote, still got it?
Yeah.
Oh, the scooter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the scooter was definitely a power display.
Did you behave like a woman half your age? Probably the same thing, but yeah.
I think less so the arrival, more so the journey.
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's go over to Birdie. Birdie, did you share a memory of a late family member? Yes, you did.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
And did you share your wisdom with a young person? I think you did that as well.
Yeah, I think with her son.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
So, yeah.
Fabulous. So you all have 2 or 3 XP, so that's great. That means if you were to play another session, you'd probably get an advancement at the end of the next session. And that's Brindlewood Bay.
Thank you so much for running it for us.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Let's do a little debrief if you don't mind. We'll just take a couple minutes to debrief. I like to do the built-in debrief procedure in the game is called stars and wishes. Stars are things that you enjoyed, either scenes or characters or bits of roleplay, and wishes are things that if you were to play again, you would want to see. So in the story, whoever has a thought. I'll just thought a star right away though and say it was really fun. You all did a really, really great job. The roleplay was great, very, very amusing. It was funny when it needed to be, and it was scary when it needed to be. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was a good highs and lows of the kind of tension.
Yeah,
stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, my star is obviously it had to be either David or Emily was the secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that what you were thinking?
Was
that what you were thinking about?
Yeah, I thought you might go for Emily because I thought because they all were family members. I was like, well, she has to have an alibi, right? So what was she doing perhaps in the engine room?
I think she probably would be connected in some way though, right? I feel like it would probably happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no way I wasn't going to let other David not be.
I would love to, as my wish, I would love to see more of that develop.
Yeah.
I think my star was the fact that you very clearly... David was very clearly David from Schitt's Creek.
Right, yeah. We didn't get much time with Allison, but she was also
and
very
Allison
much Moira.
Basically Moira.
That was my star.
Yeah.
My favourite voice in the world.
And my wish, I guess, is just I don't know, it would have been fun to do some more sleuthing on the boat, but we only have a certain amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other stars or wishes? I'll say that my wish was I would like to know more about the conspiracy. I think it's interesting that other David is part of it, because what would happen now if you were running the game is you have a sheet that's called the Dark Conspiracy sheet, and so I would take my Dark Conspiracy sheet and I would make a note in the proper place that David Honeysuckle is now a member of the conspiracy, right? So that's something that I could kind of play with in future episodes. But yeah, it was great fun, and I was really happy we got to see so many of the Crowns of the Queen as well, and I think that's partially because it's a one shot, but it was still really fun to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jason. My wish is for you to tell us more about the Brindlewood Bay Kickstarter.
Yes, I would love to.
Where people can find more of you.
So we are kickstarting April 26th, which I gather is a few days after this goes up. And so the game has existed in a digital form, in a kind of pamphlet digital form, which is like the sort of preview edition. It's existed that way for like 2 years now. That edition of the game is actually pay what you want on drive-thru. There's also a free preview version on the Kickstarter page. So you can go check out the game right away without paying anything. But the Kickstarter is to kickstart the full version of the rulebook. So we're kickstarting 2 books. The first book is Brindlewood Bay. That's the core book. It has expanded rules and slightly revised, but expanded with more keeper advice and things like that, plus 6 mysteries. And then the other book is called Nephews in Peril. And Nephews in Peril is it's part setting book, so it has like more detail about the setting of Brindlewood Bay. So like, what's the ice cream shop called? What's the coffee shop called? That kind of thing, and characters and things. But it also has 10 more mysteries in it as well. And so you'll have like a bunch of mysteries, variety of mysteries to choose from. Some of the mysteries in the Nephews in Peril book are not murder mysteries. They're like slightly different mysteries that we call sweeps week mysteries. So they're kind of like they're not necessarily about murders. They're about other kinds of solving other kinds of mysteries, and they have a slightly more supernatural bent to them. And they're meant to exist outside the normal campaign as like one shots or side stories or whatever. But so between the 2 books, though, you've got 16 mysteries, and we'll probably have some more that we'll unlock for stretch goals, hopefully. And so those are the 2 books. We have 1 add-on for this campaign, and we were trying to think of like what would be a really cool add-on for Brindlewood Bay, what would be worthy of Brindlewood Bay, and dice and cards or something that would have been really easy. But what we decided to do is another book called the Brindlewood Bay Community Cookbook. The Brindlewood Bay Community Cookbook is like a church fundraiser cookbook with real recipes submitted by characters in the setting, but also in the margins of each page are handwritten notes from a murder maven. So as you're flipping through the cookbook, you are solving a solo mystery. There's a little solo mystery game in the margins of the cookbook. So that is the add-on. You can add that on to any pledge level, or you can get all of the books in a bundle. So, but that is Brindlewood Bay. It's running until May 30th, and we're very excited about it. We've had this game out in the world for what feels like a long time now, and we're finally ready to take it to this next step. And so we're just really thrilled. So, and
where can we find more from you personally?
I am on Twitter at Jason Cordova 6. You can also follow the Gauntlet at Gauntlet RPG on Twitter.
All right. Thank you very, very much for taking time.
Thank you so much.
For us, we had a fantastic time because we love old ladies and solving crimes. If you want to see more from us here on Dicebreaker, then please do hit subscribe on this YouTube channel right now. If you found us through this Kickstarter, then thank you very much for tuning in. We've got loads of tabletop stuff for you, including reviews and interviews and previews and let's plays and all sorts of things that you could imagine, with even more stuff over on Dicebreaker.com, our home and half and website, where Alex Meehan and Matt Jarvis and Chase Carter and all of our lovely contributors are writing news stories and opinion pieces every single day. So thank you very much for watching. We will see you on the next one, but until then, have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Bye.